Welcome back to Spitballin Cards, every baseball card enthusiast's favorite podcast devoted exclusively to baseball card collecting and investing. We've exceeded the salary cap to bring you the best all-star lineup of baseball card connoisseurs that Bitcoin can buy, and we're not leaving any cards unturned. Like an R.A. Dickey knuckleball, be prepared for unexpected twists and turns. Don't hold our hairlines against us. Here's your host from the popular YouTube channel Scotty B Cards, Scotty B. Scott, what are we spitballing about today?
Thanks, Producer Lance, for the introduction. We're all excited to be here today. We have some great stuff to chat about today. Everything from rookie cards versus Bowman Chrome autographs all the way down to why Juan Soto might be underrated heading into next year. So first thing I want to say is we do not have Jeff, but we do have Chris, Phil, and Ty, and of course, Producer Lance. Welcome, everybody. And the first thing I want to discuss is what are the cool pickups of the week that we've had? Anybody want to share anything?
Who wants to go first?
Yeah, I can go. I have like a whole
Scott,
stack.
go.
I've been out of town the last week. So the very first card I picked up that I think is unique is I did pick up this Essentials Credentials of Larry Walker for like $15, number to 124. Not that cool, but still cool to me. I'm a big fan of this card. It's the Star Clusters. This one is number to 50 of Bryce Harper, Aaron Judge, and Mookie Betts. Really cool card from Topps Chrome Cosmic that just came out this year. And then I did pick up a bunch of Billy Butlers. I talked about them, but I want to show them to you or explain to our audio listeners what you're looking at. The first one is this 2012 Topps Update Black Parallel. This is his only All-Star game when he was actually in Kansas City, his best year of his career. But you see Mike Trout and Miguel Cabrera next to him. So it's cool to see two Hall of Famers and Mike Trout on a card. And then we have a you like that one, thanks. And then we have a red Topps Finest from 2010. I'm a big Topps Finest fan, and he was only in a few years. I think 2008, 2010, and 2013. So this is out of 25. Picked up probably one of my favorite images of Billy. This is out of 59 this is the black Topps Heritage Chrome from 2008 Topps Heritage. Out of 10, Topps Chrome Atomic. Gorgeous card. Then I have a pink out of 5. This is from 2013 Topps Chrome. The out of 5s were not reds that year for whatever reason. It was a pink. Then I have a out of 5 Topps Chrome Sapphire. This is the gold parallel, his only Topps Chrome parallel that year because he wasn't in Topps Chrome. He only had a Topps flagship. And then Topps Chrome Sapphire, of course, has everybody from Series 1 and 2. Red out of 5 from 2014, I believe. Red out of 5 out of 2016, I believe. This is the other Topps Finest. This is the Atomic out of 5. And then the big card is a Superfractor from 2011 Topps Chrome. So there's only, I think, 4 or 5 Superfractors of Billy in the world just because he didn't have a lot of Topps Chrome sets, and that's one of them. Last one. Sorry, Producer Lance. I got this Bowman Chrome Paul Goldschmidt autograph for like $59 on eBay because it had some surface marks, which I thought was a great deal. Because future Hall of Famer Bowman Chrome autograph seemed like a good price. So those
Maybe
are my.
The guy thought it was the facsimile, non-auto.
I know. That's what
used them.
Yeah, it's not real.
But no, this is it. I even smudged it.
Yeah, I see the top auto.
We have to ask the question, and assuming all of those in semi-rigids that you're either getting those graded or enjoy subpar protection of your cards at home. Where are you sending them to get them graded?
I am sending them to CGC. Because their slabs are by far the best for PC cards. Maybe not resale.
I was setting you up to fanboy a little. I know you're
not a CGC. We're not like a CGC. Like they're not paying us to promote them, but definitely sending it to them because their slabs look top tier. Resale, bottom tier, but looks, and maybe they'll come back. Maybe they will have value in the future. But their slabs are amazing. They do that right.
I will say. I went with Scott to go visit CGC, and their new slabs, they make you just feel great when you're holding it in your hand. It really does.
They're super clear and they're really ergonomic. But anyway, that's enough CGC talk.
Chris isn't sold. Phil's
it doesn't give you blisters like SGC.
I like it. I like SGC. I like them all. I'll go next if you want to pop my screen up there, since I think that works better for this particular card. So I've been after one of these for a while, and everybody knows I'm a big fan of Stadium Club Chrome, the X Fractors, retail exclusive, obviously, Blaster exclusive, X Fractors. Somewhat hard to come by, surprisingly, because you don't find as much Stadium Club on the shelves at the local Walmart or Target that you would other products. And it's just an incredible shot. PSA 9. I've been kind of going after scooping some PSA 9s of some different players. Chris did send me the Acuna in a PSA 10 with the ring and was like, are you going to make a play on this? And I said, I don't think so, because I've been chasing 9s because they're just cheaper, and like the raw ones are going for like $8. And then the 10 did like, what was it, $46? It wasn't expensive. Yeah, it did like $46. The last two had done like 75 and 90, and I was like, I'll pick up a few different cards of different players. But this has to be. I know you guys did the video actually, right? Your little Ohtani's bet. Was this number 2 on your best photos for Ohtani?
I had this as number 1, and I can actually on your screen I can see my comment reiterating that on your Instagram page. Yeah. I think that's definitely his best image.
Yeah. Yep. It's so great.
For the physics crowd,
we all know the Soto, right? Like spread out in his pose, and so this one kind of flew under the radar a little bit more, I feel like, but it's just awesome. It's a really good card. So I picked up that one, and then if you want to shift over, this is kind of a fun pickup.
Can I ask you a question first, Ty, before you show your next card?
Yeah.
So that year Stadium Club was interesting because the parallels were they changed the color of the Stadium Club. Am I mistaken, or is it that year they did that? I think it is.
And they've alternated between soccer and baseball. They've done like the full flood saturation, which looks fantastic.
Yeah.
And then they've done the ones where they just change the lettering around the image, and that to me it's not as compelling when it's a parallel.
It's interesting though, because that particular card, it might be extra cool because you're thinking like it's a retail exclusive parallel, right?
Yeah.
But it's the only one that looks like a parallel. So maybe that's why that card will have extra demand in the future. Who knows?
I enjoy it. I picked up the Wit, and a few others of the Atomics. And so then I mentioned last week I'm starting to pick up Smoltz cards. This one was super cheap. It was like $38, something like that. It's unlicensed, obviously, but Panini, what do they call it? 3 and 2. So in different sports, they have Panini 1, and then they have Panini 1 and 1, and 3 and 2 in baseball. They can't, got to give you a few more cards. But this is sort of like one of those, quick rip products. And my lighting, because it's so terrible, I'll get that fixed at some point in the future. This is the Smoltz, just kind of, drawn back to fire something off. Who knows? But it's funny because there's so much emphasis on the player. To me, it doesn't detract from the fact that it's unlicensed and you can't see that it doesn't say Braves anywhere on the card. You got the nice scripty 1 of 1, on the side here. And the rainbow foil, foil board kind of pops off on it. So this was a really nice card in hand. I'm not a huge unlicensed baseball guy, but that one in particular stood out to me, and it was just too cheap to pass up.
Do they call it 3 and 2 because it's baseball, like a full count?
That's next level intelligence. You're probably right.
I don't know.
I had never considered that, but maybe.
I think
one could have just called it full count. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, totally. That makes more sense. Well, great. Anybody else want to share anything? Or are we good to jump into some Scott stats segments?
I have one, but Phil, do you want to go first?
Oh,
yeah,
Phil.
Sure. So I picked up this. We ordered McDonald's through DoorDash. Don't ever do that because it'll cost you like $40 for what should be like a $12 meal. And we got a Happy Meal, and we chose for a toddler appropriate Happy Meal. And they gave us Pokemon cards anyways. So I was going to say, oh yeah, let's just open the pack. So my daughter wasn't really interested, but we got this hollow Pikachu out of it. And this goes for about $11 raw on eBay, unless I'm mistaken. Maybe I don't have the right parallel, but I'm just happy to own, of all the cards shown, the only recession-proof investment. Billy Butler, not so much. 20th year, non-playing year. John Smoltz pajama card. Yeah, I don't think so.
Paid for a fourth of your meal.
Shots fired.
Yeah, exactly. I guarantee you that card is in Market Movers. We have like 98.5% of all Pokemon cards in existence. Shameless plug.
We are also not sponsored by Market Movers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Speaking of which, I have a card ladder readout.
Maybe we need to say one negative about every company we give a positive to make it even because they're not paying us. Phil, what's the negative about marketing? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Okay, that's great. And Chris, it sounds like you have one. Oh, one note. I do agree with Phil. Pokemon cards seem to be relatively doing okay compared to modern sports cards, which is kind of wild to think about with modern product. But Chris, what do you got for us?
Yeah, before I get to my card, I just want to say that Otani that Teapot showed, like if you're listening on Spotify, please go on eBay and just look up 2020 Stadium Club Chrome Shohei Otani and take a look at that image. It's spectacular. For the physics crowd, it's like the definition of potential energy. Like the leg is starting to come up, like he's about to uncoil and do something incredible. And there are autos, not a lot. I've seen like 2, and I missed one on PWCC. And it is one of those things that does keep me awake at night. Every week or so, I will lie in bed thinking about what that sold for and how I messed up my alarm.
Chris, you talk about your wife as romantically as you talk about Shohei Ohtani baseball cards, because that was pretty passionate.
I have a different podcast for that.
Oh, cool.
It's behind a paywall. Anyway, so so Jeff and I picked up this Manny Machado rookie. It is his 2013 SSP. So this does not surface very often. There are 11 PSA 10s. It's pretty rare. So it's a horizontal card, which some people hate, but I happen to really like. And it's showcasing, one of Machado's best skills. He's making a throw, and he's basically at a near full dive. This card's pretty great. I was excited to get it. Someone on Instagram actually had it up for sale, and he at one point I think had 3, but I don't know exactly why he was selling it. It's not a great time to sell Machado. He's had kind of a down year, but will still hit. I think he's still got 30 home runs. But I mean, the guy just turned 31. He's got 1,700 plus hits. He'll cross 1,000 RBIs next year. For the WAR crowd, Machado is a poster boy for just consistency. So yeah, anytime I can pick up like an SSP, especially a rookie in a PSA 10 like that, I'm jumping all over it.
Awesome. Well, thank you. That's a great card. I've wanted that card for a long time. I wish PSA designated it as an SSP. I don't get why they don't, because it wouldn't be that hard to do.
Yeah, they need consistency with their slabs. Like they could just say SSP - black jersey.
Yeah.
They should do that for all of them, but instead they give them these weird descriptions that just don't really tell the whole story.
Yeah, they just make it up, and then all the grading companies just fall in line for some reason. But this next segment is called Scott's Stats. This is where I look at stats all week because I have nothing else to do with my life, and I share some interesting things with you. The first one, I'm going to share my screen. Zach Greinke having a pretty terrible year. 0.5 WAR, 1-15 with a 5.37 ERA. You might be saying he needs to retire. I don't think he should retire. He is only how many strikeouts away? 28 away from 3,000 strikeouts. I wanted to say, though, Zach Greinke's year is not as bad as you think. Yes, his whip's high. His ERA is high, but a 5.37 is not Adam Wainwright high, who has more wins. Zach Greinke currently has the second lowest earned run support for any pitcher because the Royals are really, really bad. And if you say you hate the Royals, I don't hate the Royals. One of my favorite players played for the Royals. But it's just pathetic to see that we're treating a legend so poorly. And if you are a Royals fan, you know this is how they treated Zach Greinke for his entire career, because they never, ever gave him run support for how good he was. So that's my first stat, 1-15. But if you look at this, you'll see Justin Verlander this year, he had 5.36 runs support, and Zach Greinke only had 3.32 runs, which is second lowest. I have to see who was the lowest. It was someone really random. Tell me if you see.
Who doesn't think the Royals are terrible?
3.12 Logan Webb. Giants are doing him dirty.
Oh yeah, they are.
Okay, who doesn't think they're terrible? I like the
Astros.
Yes, that's a great point. They might have ruined their season. And Royals, great job.
They just got swept at home by the Kansas City Royals.
And I want to say I am a Rockies fan, and so your future's still brighter than ours. So, all right, next stat. I want to look at Todd Helton. Speaking of the Rockies, in 2000, he had 216 hits, 59 doubles, 42 home runs, 147 RBI, had a batting title. OBP was at 463. Slugging percentage was almost 700 for a league-leading 1.162 OPS. OPS plus was not the highest in the league, but his WAR was. If we look at MVP voting, he was behind with 8.9 WAR behind Jim Edmonds, Mike Piazza, Barry Bonds and Jeff Kent. One of the biggest robberies from both, in my opinion, Barry Bonds and Todd Helton. And that is a disgrace just because of the Coors Field effect. Thank goodness nowadays we have league-adjusted stats like WAR and OPS Plus to show he was still dominant that year. All right, that was my second to last one. And my first one, I want to ask you, who do you think is the all-time caught stealing leaders in one particular season? Shouldn't be that hard of a question.
No, you would think like Vince Coleman, someone who would just run all the time.
Okay.
Well,
no, all time, 130 years of baseball. Who was caught the most in one season?
Could have been probably Ricky Henderson.
That is the answer, Ricky Henderson. How many caught stealings do you think he had in his most caught stealing season?
40.
51.
I'd say it's around 40 to 50. This is before they buckled down on analytics. That was like, you can't get caught stealing more than 25% of the time, or else you're really costing you.
80% success rate to be valuable. He was caught 42 times.
So
if we look at stolen bases per year, that was more than, Trey Turner had 43 stolen bases in 2018. Acuna had 37, Turner had 32, John Birdie 41. That's more than like everybody here. Obviously, Acuna this year with the changes and Sturio Rees is different. But just, I want you to imagine 42 caught stealing. So that's all. Those are my stats this week I thought were interesting. So anyways, anybody want to add anything to that?
The Greinke run support thing is kind of interesting because like Nolan Ryan is probably the most famous, like brutal recipient of terrible run support for basically like his entire career. So I don't think Greinke's not going to get any sympathy out of Nolan Ryan for his crappy season. But 1-15 is brutal. Like that is really bad. But I feel like when your ERA is over 5,
even with an over 5 ERA, I watched almost every Greinke start because I really like him. And he seriously, like he'll have a decent game, like a quality outing, and he'll still lose by 3 runs, 3-0 every single game. And it's just brutal because even if he had the average run support, you would have at least 4 more wins. He'd be 5-10, which is a lot better. But
I think about the guy I always think about is Roger Clemens at the tail end of his career. Juiced or not, who knows at that point? I don't know. But with Houston, and then when he signed on that late deal, at the end, or actually it was both years with Houston, he started 32 games, had a 1.87 ERA, league best, and went 13-8. 13-8. With a 1.87 ERA in 32 games, he only won 13 of those. And then same thing next year, basically 2.3 and went 7-6. So
that's when the Cy Young.
I've never been a fan of wins as a stat. I ran a fantasy baseball league this year, and we used quality starts, not wins.
Yeah,
it's like
quality starts is better.
Yeah,
that's what the pitcher can control, not the win. They need run support for a win, which is a stupid stat.
So, I will say I'm also not shedding a single tear for Clemens. I'm not a fan anyway, but in 2001, like he stole a Cy Young award by going I think he was 21-3 with an ERA near 4. Because his run support, I think he led the league in run support, and he had Rivera just locking down everywhere.
20-3, and he had
Look at Mark
3.5
Mulder's
ERA.
numbers that year.
3.5 ERA.
Yeah.
I do want to point out that he did lead baseball. Well, not baseball, the American League. That's the National League at the time. In WAR that year when he was 3rd because of the wins. That's the only reason. And he had a 2.26 ERA plus. So definitely got screwed.
I'm surprised he led in WAR because I feel like his innings weren't his innings a little bit low, or did he pitch the whole season for Houston? That wasn't one of the years where he came in May or June. Right?
211 innings, so still way more than modern pitchers.
Yeah.
It was the last season with Houston when he was in 2006 when he only did 113 innings.
Gotcha. Okay.
He only had 19 starts. Yeah.
Pretty amazing career.
Do you guys find pitchers WAR useful?
No, I don't rely on it.
Just curious. Yeah.
I don't rely on it nearly as much as hitters WAR personally. It's 100%. A nice stat, but to compare other pitchers against pitchers, but you can't compare pitchers to hitters. That's literally apples to oranges.
Yeah. Even pitchers to pitchers. There's a lot of flaws there. Like Zach Wheeler, is he still leading the NL? And he's not top 3 in the Cy Young race for a good reason.
Find out. 4.2 WAR. Let's go to Baseball Reference.
He's probably up there, but I know he was leading in like August.
Let's scroll down to WAR for pitchers for the National League. Blake Snell. Then we have holy cow, Logan Webb, but Wheeler is top 10.
Yeah, Logan Webb's season he is really, really good. And the Giants just when he pitches, they will not score runs.
Did you know he was caught doing PEDs a few years ago, Logan Webb?
In the minors, right?
Yep. Fun fact about Logan Webb, which is so random because you wouldn't expect him to do PEDs.
And I will say, I just went to a game where Blake Snell just about threw a no-hitter. And it was incredible to watch him in person. His curveball, when you see it in person, it's like you can't even believe that he's thrown it like that. It's amazing.
I could hit it.
Yeah.
Who was it? Who was it that when Snell was on the Rays that they pulled him and then the Rays lost? Who were they playing in the playoffs? You guys remember that game?
Game 6.
The Dodgers.
Yeah.
They
was
pulled
that Game 6 the World Series year 2020?
Was it the World Series? Gosh, I was thinking it was the ALCS, but you might be right. I guess
their bullpen was on fire. It was still a dumb move, but they put in
it was
Nick
like,
Anderson was on fire.
Grant Balfour or somebody in, and then he just like blew it. It was like
they pulled him to face Mookie the third time through. Mookie hit a double to go ahead.
Yes,
Or
Phil
tied.
said it was Nick Anderson who had like one of the best relief seasons in all of baseball, but was getting hit in the playoffs, and I think it was Kevin Cash still like just refused to.
Absolutely, Kevin Cash. Yeah,
refused to acknowledge that Nick Anderson might not be as good in the playoffs as he was. Like he didn't make any sort of adjustment to the fact that Anderson was getting hit. And yeah, I think Mookie Betts hit like the first or second pitch right up the third base line. And
Blake Snell, I think historically struggled facing the lineup for the third time, or especially that year or something. But he had his A stuff that night.
Oh yeah,
he definitely did. It's hard to take that out.
That would have been like
not knowing what you're going to get from your reliever.
When Bumgarner like had that epic run and just being like, "Yeah, we're still going to pull you, even though you're untouchable right now. We're going to pull you."
Yeah, can you imagine?
Just don't do that.
No, he would have killed Bruce Bochy on the mound.
Oh yeah, that's true.
You're absolutely right.
No, he would have just like snapped his neck, thrown his corpse like into foul territory, and gone back out to the mound and continued pitching.
Straight up Hadouken.
Nobody would have said anything, so they're too scared of him.
No, not a word. No one would say a word.
All right. Well, the next segment I want to talk about is going to be rookie cards versus Bowman Chrome autographs. I want to just kind of give a little bit of background on this. Historically, rookie cards were the first appearance on a major checklist along with other major league players. So that's why we saw with Mark McGwire, with Todd Helton, I think they were the same year, Jose Canseco, a couple others. Like actually, maybe not Canseco, but a couple other players from that era, their rookie cards were like in USA uniforms or in minor league uniforms. Like, Griffey, I don't think, or Jeter is a great example. He did not debut until 1996, but his rookie's in 1993. That's just because back then they put draft pick cards in packs. Then 2006 came around, the MLBPA, they decided that there had to be two things. They had to be basically debuting that year in order to get the rookie logo. So that is when rookie cards became what they are today. Even like Greinke and Votto and a bunch of other players, their true rookie cards are Bowman Chrome cards and so forth. But we have also seen Topps introduced at the same time in the year 2006 a Bowman Chrome first designation for the first Bowman Chrome autograph. So Topps said, screw you to Major League Baseball and the Players Association, and they introduced essentially another rookie card logo is what they ended up doing. And so now the rookie card has been printed to death, a lot of different sets, high print runs, while the Bowman Chrome first, and particularly the Bowman Chrome first autograph, has remained one set. Generally speaking, there might be Mojo refractors in there, short prints, whatever else, with a shorter print run and parallels of rainbows. So what are your thoughts? Do you prefer rookie cards, Bowman Chrome autographs? What are your takes? It's actually a decently hot topic in the hobby. People are very passionate about it. I want to hear what your thoughts are. Let's hear yours, Chris.
Okay. So when I first got back into this, I definitely went rookie card heavy. Those are the ones that I was most interested in, especially like a flagship SSP. That was the card that I needed to have for all these guys. And then I was really big into like the Bowman Chrome rookie cards. I thought looked cool. Like the images were great. But like slowly and like I would say my opinion, I want to say my opinion has evolved, but I feel like the word evolved like implies improvements. So I'm not really sure I'm ready to use that word, but my opinion has definitely changed. There's just too many rookies for all these players, even like guys like Mookie Betts and Soto, who we talk about as having like not that many rookies. Like it's still a bunch. And even like Mookie Betts, I think I made a quick list. He's got like at least 5 rookie autos and only 1 first Bowman Chrome auto. So I just kept like, it took a while because I'm stubborn and I don't learn things quickly. But like after years of buying like all these rookie cards and sort of watching their values like slowly creep up or stagnate or even drop, like it just seemed like, and I hate to use the word investing, but if you're going to put big money into a player, the Bowman Chrome auto is absolutely where that money should go. I think it took me about 2 years to sort of grab onto this. So maybe it'll change again. I don't know. But that's kind of where I am. I'm definitely in team Bowman Chrome auto.
Phil, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think the market's decided what it is over the last 15 years or so. You could even say that post junk wax era of the 90s, like the rookie card was not intended to be. The mass-produced rookie card was not intended to be an investable card. But stepping away from what the market believes and has believed for a number of years, as I said, if you're not into the hobby, if you're like a football guy, basketball guy, and you take a look at the different types of cards that baseball offers, and you look at take the best parallel rookie card, take the platinum parallel today from Update Series 2, Series 1, what have you. Does that look like it's supposed to be an expensive card? Does that card look special to you? Or is that one that maybe a football guy would gloss over if he was flipping through a dollar box? Doesn't it just look like a slightly different variation of the base card? Versus, so I'm trying to go deeper here. I'm trying to talk about the quality of the card stock, how beautiful looking the card is. You add ink, you're giving it value outside of the card itself. Original ink on card. Sure, it's airbrushed. It's not as real uniform. But enough of us have looked past that for a number of years now where, to me, it's Bowman Chrome auto or bust. And part of it has to do with the simplicity of, as you said, Scott, for the most part, one set. And Fanatics / Topps, they've done a better job preserving that brand over the years than what they've done to Topps Flagship and Topps Chrome. So whether it's a down market, whether it's a flat market, whether it's a chaotic uptrending market, Bowman Chrome autograph is always going to be the first choice for an investor or somebody that doesn't want to lose his shirt. If he wants to buy a card and hold it for 2 to 3 years, it's going to draw more attention. It's going to be easier to sell. It's going to be what people want. And I think collectors have realized that too. And they're very understanding of that. So whether they are interested in Bowman Chrome autos or not, they understand the hierarchy. And I can't really see that changing anytime soon, unless you take a card superior to the Bowman Chrome autograph. Maybe you look at sets like Topps Dynasty. Over time, that does have some intrinsics that, to me, are more important, perhaps, than a Bowman Chrome autograph. And part of that has to do with only printing like 90 or so cards per player, or fewer, depending on the player. And I don't even know how many they do now, but this is like 2018. And of course, you've got a game used patch inside the card and the autograph. So again, just like break down the basics. Like why would a Topps flagship rookie card be that special at the end of the day? So, and that's from the standpoint of an investor / speculator.
Counterpoint, the Topps flagship card, forgive me, that is the card that people generally want. And the reason for that is because, there is the Griffey 89 Upper Deck. There is the Trout 2011 Topps Update. And that is the card that Topps recycles the majority of the time. They hardly ever reprint Bowman Chrome first. They hardly ever do. They do sometimes. We saw that in like 2013. They printed a few. Maybe it was 2011. They had a set of like reprints. But generally speaking, it's not the case. And there is something to flagship. That's the Mickey Mantle set. That's where his rookie, which actually wasn't a rookie either. His rookie was 51 Bowman, but 52 Topps. You had Mickey Mantle, Willie Mays, you had Jackie Robinson, all the way until now. That is flagship. So like there has to be some reason why collectors go towards it. And the big word is collectors. And for me, I've always preferred rookie cards. I would rather have a cool rookie card. Like, for example, I didn't even show this because where'd it go? Because I didn't really care. I got a blue Billy Butler Bowman Chrome autograph as a part of that deal in that collection, right? And it's cool, but it's not that cool to me. And I think that's just the way that collectors will always look at it. But there is an investing aspect that you cannot deny. And there is something about the Bowman Chrome first being like the first, Topps autograph. That's not even true always, but generally speaking, that is usually their first autograph that is desirable generally. So we do live in a world where it's past the point now where it's just a fling, right? It's one of those things where this is just the future of baseball cards, in my opinion, where Bowman Chrome autographs just will have the value, especially nowadays, because there's so many sets. I do think there are instances like from 2008 to like 2015 where those rookie cards still hold value because there were way less sets of players. And on top of that, way less rookie autos. Like the Goldschmidt, I showed his Bowman Chrome autograph just barely. He didn't have any rookie autographs. It was just the Bowman Chrome autograph. It was from the same year, 2011, as his rookie cards. So I think that helps his rookie cards have some value. Altuve didn't have a Bowman Chrome autograph. So like there are situations where it can play out. But I think moving forward, if you ever want to collect a player, if you don't buy the Bowman Chrome autograph from 2018 forward, it's just not a waste. It's not the right word, but if they're similar in price, it might be a waste. Ty, I want to hear your thoughts. Anybody want to challenge what I said first? Feel free, because that's just my opinion, of course. Ty, I think you might challenge it a little bit.
I've got like a totally. I mean, you kind of set it up as like a dichotomy, like an either or, and I would go in like a different direction with it for my collection. And it's definitely against the grain. I know I'm in the minority with this, but so I did a video like 13 months ago and talked about why I don't do Bowman prospecting. And I broke down a whole bunch of reasons. If you want to see that video, go check out the Market Movers channel. And it's from like mid-August of 2022. But there's a lot of reasons. One of the things that I don't like about Bowman firsts is that the players look like kids. So when we lean back and we look back into history and we see, we're thinking about players fondly, collecting cards and having cards. It's very much about nostalgia, about remembering. And you look back and you're like, that guy literally looks like a kid. Like I'm thinking about I know I'll transition to basketball, like Steph Curry's rookie card. And he just literally looks like a 14-year-old. It's just his portrait, Topps photo. It's like, okay, is it iconic? Yeah, sure. It's his rookie card. It's iconic. But is it a great card? I'm not convinced it is. I'm not convinced there's anything special about it other than that it has an NRC badge on it. The same thing, but like even more so in baseball when you get these players and it's like they don't look anything like themselves or like what we remember them in. I don't mean like later in life and overweight, at the end of their careers. I'm just everyday players. They're not in their team jerseys many times. I think about like Tatis being in a White Sox jersey. I'm like, why do I want that card? He didn't play for the White Sox. That's not the team that he was with. That doesn't stand out to me as something that I'm like, yeah, if I really wanted to have a Fernando Tatis Jr. card, let me get it of him looking like a kid in a White Sox jersey. It's not something that I gravitate to from a PC perspective. Now, last week we talked about, how important to me, at least photos are, like the quality of the photo. It either should be iconic or some kind of like action shot, something that captures something that's really memorable. And then just the overall aesthetics, card design. Every year I love seeing when flagship Topps comes out. Do I like it? Do I not like it? What's good and bad? And then to look at something like Stadium Club where the photos almost always tick the boxes. So then like what's the overall aesthetic of the card? In that same sense, rookie cards many times can tend to underwhelm me. And the thing that gets me is like I would very often rather have more cards than I would like consolidate into one specific bigger, more expensive card. And I think a lot about premiums. So I have a hard time paying up. I mentioned it earlier, like paying up for a PSA 10 if it's a card in my collection, because I'd rather have 3 PSA 9s of similar ilk that are really cool and, have one of each of these types of players for the same exact price than a PSA 10 where I might not even be able to discern looking at the card. Like I can stare at this Ohtani forever and be like, I don't see anything wrong with this. I literally don't see anything wrong with it. Maybe if I were to look, there'd be like some little edge damage or something. It could just be that somebody at PSA decided, and if I cracked it out and send it back, it gets a 10 and somehow triples in value according to, the public eye. So that's sort of like that rookie card multiplier, same type of effect. that for me, if it came down to it, I've found scenarios where I can go buy a 4th-year superfractor or a color match red refractor to 5 of a player for the same price as an underwhelming basic refractor in their Bowman Chrome or, their rookie cards. So that's kind of like where I go to just from a pure collection perspective. Now, from an investability perspective, there's so many variations. There are so many different sets being produced, so many things being pumped out, that the idea of the RC badge being on a card and being a standalone card, the only one of its kind, or maybe like 2 sets, maybe, that was a different era. And now we are in this era where it's like stamped onto everything, licensed or unlicensed. I get it. I completely understand why that Bowman Chrome auto would be so sought after, and why the hobby collectively would go, look, it is the first big thing that comes out. It's the most notable. And there's something important to that, debut release that makes a lot of sense. And it's sort of like this, I don't know, like accidental is the wrong word, but just sort of like this underlying consensus from everybody who's participating in it. That's like, we're going to get rid of the noise and all agree that this is what we like. This is what we think should be considered like the investable, piece within the hobby. And then obviously take it a step further and go into like the true colors and not the shimmers and all the other things that they might, throw at you. Like, let's kind of stay within this lane and all agree that this is how we do it. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I really like going after things that have a little more sentimental value, or a little more unique, a little quirkier for my PC. And the last thing I'll say is, I wish I could remember the name of the book. I didn't actually buy it, but like 4 years ago, somebody was sharing this on Discord when I was on there chatting with people, and I haven't been able to find it, but there was this book and it had this whole chapter breaking down how and when the rookie card became a thing. And it was probably like Michael Rubin's dad who started promoting it 40 years ago, because it was literally a marketing like innovation in the 80s to get people like excited about new product releases. Like, get the first hot rookie card of this player, and it just caught on and people latched onto it. And then it was like, yeah, this is what has a 5, 10, 15, 100x multiplier over every card after that for this player, because it's the first one out on the market. So
I'm gonna challenge you. I recently sold a bunch of cards to buy one Mookie Betts card, and I have 0 regrets. I know every other one of those other cards will always be available anytime. I can go out and buy them because they're overprinted. But the Mookie Betts card I bought, there's actually 2. I got a clear acetate out of 10. It's a PSA 10, literally one of his best rookies. And then I got a Bowman Chrome autograph gold out of 50, one of his best Bowman Chrome autographs. I don't have deep enough pockets to go for the out of 5 or the orange, but it's one of those things where I have 0 regrets about it.
But I don't think that's challenging me, because like realistically, would you actually go out and rebuy those cards, or are you just happier having that nicer card?
I have been buying them back, but they don't do anything for me anymore. Yeah. It's like, from like a drug perspective, you get like the harder hit and they don't do as much for me. Yeah. And so it's one of those things where, as collectors, why do we collect what we collect? It's because people want that, not just us. We want what other people want. And so I think that helps with the Bowman Chrome autograph. Like, that's recognized as the card.
But
right?
you could get a 2018 Mookie Betts MVP season superfractor for the same price. If you tracked it down and if you found the card, you could track it down, pay for it, and it would probably be cheaper than the clear rookie. That's where my mind goes to, is like, I like the idea of having a card that like is really, it just stands out to me more at the end of the day. Like, then, but I like the clear rookie card. There's price tiers of things.
My issue with that is between now and 2021 and 2025 and 2030 and 2032, if he's still playing, he's going to have probably 50 superfractors or more, probably 70 to 80 superfractors per year. And you can say, well, it's Topps Chrome. Well, there's like 15 Topps Chrome variants now. And so we are in a weird world where Topps is like, I want to like rookie cards more. I want the rare rookie cards to be worth more, but Topps has made them not worth more. And as a collector, you want the rare stuff, right? But like, you'll see someone, like, if you realistically, every once in a while, you'll see a cool card that you're like, wow, that's a stunner. Like a Topps Chrome Superfractor of Mookie, I would look at that card and save it on Instagram and look at it later. But it's one of those things where you see other Superfractors posted and it means nothing. Like certain sets mean nothing. Someone had a 2016 Optic, and I love that set because it's like the first year of Optic for baseball. It was a superfractor. It was actually, what did they call them? The gold vinyl. And I thought it was awesome. I almost bought it, but people weren't like engaging with it as if it was a true one of one because there's just so many. So that's my thoughts. But Ty,
I think you're actually
understand
making
your
my
point of view.
point like more than you realize, though, which is
maybe I
that
am. Maybe I am.
you're like gravitating toward what is most significant, and I just don't think that a rookie card or a Bowman Chrome auto makes it the most significant from my like collecting style. That like stamp, that logo, that type of thing doesn't to me say this card, regardless of its aesthetic, regardless of the photo, regardless of anything else about it, makes it more, makes it that much more valuable than when you do have one of those rare seasons when a year of finest design comes out or a year of Chrome and it's full saturation superfractor and it just is a sick photo. And plus that season, Mookie had a 10.7 WAR and just absolutely dominated and won his first MVP. And if you could land that card, like to me, if I were collecting Mookie, I'd be like, that's what I want to go after. If I know that card's out there and I love the design and I love the photo and it's an iconic season for him, I probably prefer that. But I have to like the look of the card at the end of the day. Otherwise, I'm just like, yeah, I don't know. I don't care about this. Like I'm going to, move on.
Say one more thing and then I'll let other people talk. But I'm being hypocritical because this is a perspective of how I'm collecting and why. That's purely from an investment standpoint. That is what makes the card attractive and exciting, right? The actual photo Mookie Betts on his Bowman Chrome autograph is nothing special. This Topps Update's actually a pretty similar photo. It's just from a different profile. But I could go buy, and Chris almost bought me or helped me buy a Billy Butler Bowman Chrome Gold autograph. But I am not paying $120 for that. But I just paid $600 for all these superfractors and rare cards because I will never see them again. And so I see your perspective, and like Billy Butler again is 5 superfractors. I own 2 of them. You know how cool that is? If I can own 4 or 5, that'd be amazing. And so I see your perspective, but are we at a point in the sports card world where it's just too late for modern cards of decent players like Mike Trout and Mookie Betts because they're going to have so many? A Mike Trout autograph's not cool to me anymore because
I get that. I absolutely get that. It's like a dime a dozen. I hate to say that, but it really is.
Is it too late? Like, how do we go about that? Is my thoughts.
Well, look at Chris and Jeff's pickup last week with the Acuna, gold with the ring. Like that's a unique card. It's not just some random auto out of tier 1 or something. You're just like, I don't know. Yeah, it's an auto or it's got a little game worn patch and one of like a million things. There's something unique that really sets it apart. It stands out. It captures a moment in history. And that's to me, that's what really drives collectible value. Like that type of the essence of the card. There's a lot of others being mass produced all the time that don't do that. And it's very easy for me to just go, I don't care, rookie card or otherwise. I don't care.
Yeah, I love that Acuna card. And I feel like any auto that isn't like a first or a rookie, for it to have any long-term value or significance, it has to be an image like that.
Yeah.
Like, let's just go back to it. That Ohtani that you have, like that card with an auto on it, that's special. But like he now has autos in probably 120 different sets since he came up. So they're all not going to maintain value. Everything you said, Teapot, I agree with. There is stuff like that I really want, like a Michael Harris rookie at a stadium club. That image of him celebrating with Acuna in the outfield, like I absolutely want that, and I will pay money for it. But I'm doing so knowing full well that probably that card will never be worth more than what I am paying for it right now. So it just goes right into the PC, like. And there's a limit to how much I'm willing to spend on cards like that. I still love them. I go after like Freeman parallels of images that I really like. I'll go after Acuna parallels of images I really like that aren't rookies. But there's absolutely like a limit because I know that that's not going to go up in value, most likely. Barring something either really good or something really terrible, that card's not going to go up in value.
We've kind of seen that with Acuna's SSPs. They've stopped going up, even though they won't go up and down. They just stay the flat. Sorry, keep going.
No, you're exactly right. I mean, he has SSPs in every year now. So unless the image is really special, it's just another SSP. Like we're just seeing, every year it's another round of kind of the same stuff, which is why when they produce one image on one card that actually says first, I feel like that's just always going to win out. And
no variants. It's usually shorter printed, maybe not anymore, but historically
definitely not anymore.
Yeah.
But Scotty, you were talking about, I think you said Jeter in the 90s. Like we were basically doing the same thing. Chipper Jones's rookie cards
it's a good one.
Are in 91, where he's wearing his high school uniform. And like Ty looks like he's 16 years old in the picture. But he didn't debut for 4 years after that. But if you're trying to choose what Chipper Jones card are you going to buy, do you want the 95 when he debuted, or do you want the 91? You're probably going to buy the 91.
Yeah.
I agree. Phil, I want to propose a question to you, because I would say out of all of us here, you're the most diverse in like what you buy and what you invest in. You have Pokemon, you might even have Yu-Gi-Oh! For all I know. You have sealed wax, you have whatever. Let's talk about Pokemon. Charizard doesn't have a rookie card, but Charizard does have his basically rookie card from, base set first edition. That's not the most rare Charizard at all. There's tons of them. There's the Crystal Charizard from a couple years later. There's the Shining Charizard that might have similar print runs. I think it's much lower. So from your perspective, why do you think those cards are worth more? I think you have one, don't you?
Yeah. So the first English base set, English. That's a good question. So that's the equivalent of a rookie card, right? And for folks like me that are kind of casuals in Pokemon, even though I do buy quite a bit of the higher end stuff, I don't know too much about the trophy cards. And there is, and this is where I start to contradict a little bit of what I said before, where there is something to a card that has mass appeal and recognition, but they only printed, so they printed about 10,000 of these. But the other rivals to that set would be the other, like the Japanese version, the Dutch version, which has never been as sought after, even anything close. And PSA 10s are around 120, right? So that's about a third of what the Michael Jordan 86 Fleers had. PSA 9s are around 600. Again, probably about a third of what the Jordan 86 Fleers had. So to me, it's a good amount. I've got a PSA 9. Yes, I wish there were fewer than 600-700. It'd be nicer if there were like 200, 300. But I mean, my draw to Pokemon and that it's beyond just, the rookie card, prospect card thing we were talking about. A lot of people knock on vintage football, vintage basketball, vintage baseball. Like, well, these guys like Warren Spahn, Willie Mays, how much more demand are they going to have 20, 30 years from now, especially when a generation dies, But with Charizard, you're collecting that same character. They still make Charizard cards today. It's like the Babe Ruth that just lives on in perpetuity, right? So there's a clear hierarchy of characters. And of course, joking earlier about it being recession-proof, that Happy Meal card. There's a lot of people buying Pokemon stuff right now.
There's a ton.
And their kids, it's like the hedge versus baseball. It's like in a completely different part of its growth cycle. And you can joke around with like injuries and torn ACLs. Oh, he can't tear his ACL.
Wander Franco.
But what people don't talk about, is there is a little bit of a risk with the Pokemon brand itself.
Absolutely.
Like Magic the Gathering, I thought like 10 years ago, if you were to ask me, like, oh, there's more utility there because more people play the games. You have people that play the game, people that speculate, and people that collect. Pokemon, you don't get that many people that play the game. But look what's happened to Magic the Gathering. So what I'm saying is, like, every brand has a risk. There's going to be an end at some point. They've done a great job outside of the cards, that's what I'm sort of implying. The movies, the games, the figurines, massive market, right? So all of those things combined, that's why I can deal with a 600 pop on a, whatever you want to call it, rookie card.
But I agree with you. My question, though, why did you buy that card?
Well, when I bought that card, I thought that it was one of the few cards that I could afford that I considered a strong, like, 10 to 30 year investment. Is that
Yeah.
what you wanted? Or
But it's the first one, plain and simple.
Yeah.
It's the one that everyone knows. I would say, like, me more so than you, Phil. I think you're more in tune with Pokemon. I play the video game still. I don't know if that's weird to say, even on my old DS from 2005.
the original Game Boy game? Red
Oh,
or
yeah.
blue?
I have both. I have Pokemon Red sitting in front of my desk right now, literally.
It's
I have
in
all of them. Yeah, it's right here. And so my thing is, I'm a Pokemon fan, but I think this shows as time progresses. The Crystal Charizard is a card I want to pick up. I think it's so cool. And I also think Blaine's Charizard, which is more common, I think that's so cool. But it's the first one. And I think that's going to hold true for sports cards, especially as time passes and as the collector base for each individual player shrinks. That's why I think that the Bowman Chrome will be worth more. But if you're looking at an investment standpoint, I think it's just nonsensical not to think that's the card. Not saying Teepa, I know your perspective. I'm not saying what you're saying is that way. But that's why the hobby situation where it's kind of unfortunate to me, because I hate that that's the thought process that we all have to collect the same thing to have value, which is kind of where it's at.
I have a quick rookie card question for you other three, and maybe Lance, if he hasn't checked out. But if you had to pick one rookie card, one brand, one parallel, one what would it be? Like if you're looking for Gunnar Henderson's your guy, what's the one card? First Bowman Chrome, we more or less agree, 3 out of 4, that's the card you're going to get. But if you prefer rookie cards and you can only choose one, what's the one that you're going to buy?
Can we exclude one of ones? Just to make
ignoring superfractors. Yeah, forget superfractors. And probably forget reds because most people can't afford or will ever see reds. So outside of superfractors and reds.
What's your thoughts, Ty?
I mean, I generally feel like I gravitate toward gold. I really like, I know it's a newer product in the last handful of years, but the Sapphire Golds just really pop to me. I think that's a product that rightly has grabbed the eye of the collector and the market in general as like another step up from regular Chrome, but generally I just gravitate toward Topps Chrome. If I were going to go to something like that, a gold refractor, it's probably what I would, that's the Otani that I bought and held and sold. And I think that's kind of a sure bet. Everybody loves gold. So that's probably what I'd go with.
Which of the 10 Topps Chrome sets are you talking about?
Yeah.
Good follow.
Seriously though, Sapphire, Logo Fractor, why not?
No, that's
orange color match would be pretty sick.
That's what I said. Like if you're gonna go, I go flagship. I really like Logo Fractor. I like that product. I don't know where that's gonna live into eternity. But like I said, I think the Sapphire Golds stand out really nicely. And beyond that, I would just go, the regular Chrome Gold.
I'm actually exactly aligned with you, Ty. There was an Aaron Judge that ended on PWCC. It was his Topps Chrome Gold, and that card is really cool. He ended for like $1,200.
Oh, wow, that seems cheap for an Aaron Judge rookie.
That's probably before buyer's premium, though. So maybe it's after their 80% premium. It's $10,000. But I'm just kidding. I think it ended around probably $1,500 to $1,600 with premium.
Okay. Phil, what do you think?
About Aaron Judge?
No, about you got to choose a rookie card.
Oh,
about your own question.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Topps Chrome. To me, that's like you look back before all this noise that was created by Topps, with all these different brands, etc. Since like 2014 when I got back into the hobby, and I would only really look at listings for Bowman Chrome autograph because that's what Blowout told me I should do. So to me, it was Bowman Chrome auto or bust after making mistakes buying like Bowman Sterling autographs and them not really retaining their value. Bowman Platinum, things like that. Maybe some Topps cards. So if I was to think back then when times are simpler, it would be a Topps Chrome parallel. It would be the standard Topps Chrome set. Not a image variation either. It would be like the base pose. Personally, that would be probably what I would go for.
Yeah. Lance? Mr.
Lance? Which one has the most holographic shininess?
Probably Topps Chrome.
Then listen. When I was a kid, I loved Upper Deck because of the little hologram thing on the back, right? Like I just love the shininess. So whatever one is the most shiny, I'm gonna take that one.
One note for everybody listening that might be new: producer Lance, does not collect cards. He is a great friend, and so that is why he made that comment. But I appreciate it, producer Lance. What about you, Chris? You posed the question.
I mean, I think it's either Topps Chrome Gold, the regular Topps Chrome Gold, or the flagship black. It's got to be one of those two.
Yeah, you can say that. I've kind of become like, I don't want to say anything too negative. I want to just say, though, we discussed like what the perception of the hobby is in regards to Bowman Chrome versus rookies. Am I the only one who wishes it wasn't that way, however? And because I wish that rookies were the thing. In one way, I wish Bowman Chrome autographs never existed. Am I the only one who feels that way? I know I went pretty hardcore one way, but I just want to say my wishes for future Topps products would be that case. Or do you think it's good we have that because of the print runs?
I don't know. Well, I think Scott, I think you made it abundantly clear what you wish you would have. But at the end of the day, your buying patterns are eerily similar to mine when it comes to baseball. So yeah. I could say all the same thing about, I mean, I get like the demand for rookie cards. I get they have a purpose. Yeah, 52 Topps. Yeah, this, that, 51 Bowman. But yeah, ideally, I don't know if I could even say that though, because they're trying to satisfy needs of growing the market. I like more people collecting. At the end of the day, I think people know in the back of their heads that not 99% of their cards will be useless in 10 years. It's more like 99.98% of their cards. So if you don't know that, then you're naive and you'll learn it eventually and hopefully be able to sell some of the stuff if you need that money, if you need to recoup it for your family, etc. So I don't know. I'm okay with the current, situation. I'm just happy that at least they've made an effort to preserve Bowman versus killing everything and overprinting everything. So I guess, there's going to be trade-offs, right? We can't have it both ways at the end of the day, I don't think, unfortunately. Unless we want a tiny hobby with just the 5 of us in it.
It'd be pretty fun. I
really enjoyed that back and forth. Scotty saying, I don't want to be too negative, and Phil saying 99.9% of our cards are going to be worthless.
I just want, I understand our audience isn't one individual.
Positivity.
I know I'm trying to be positive, but my next post question, is there any way it will ever not be this way again? Or is this just how it's going to be? Like, is there anything that will happen, or do you not foresee that happening?
Yeah, I mean, why would it change? Like, Fanatics is doing really well. Like, they're actually putting money into marketing, and I do think more people are ripping now than there were maybe a year ago. But the economy seems like it might be kind of stopping that as it is. I mean, I think as long as Fanatics is making money, nothing's going to change. We're going to get 800 sets every year.
I mean, supply and demand's a real thing, right? So if they want to try to mimic some of what Panini's done with some of the higher end products, if we're even talking about that, it like with Topps Dynasty and maybe National Treasures, etc., eventually come to baseball, those are technically rookie cards. But again, supply and demand, this other stuff, there's no chance. What are they going to completely peel back how much they're printing? Like, oh, okay, they could kill, 70% of the sets, but then they just print more of the existing sets. It would just be, similar to what Pokemon does, right? So are those cards going to hold value? Are those going to be special? Not to me. Like you said, Scott, you can buy those cards back years later. By the way, I didn't realize that Black Parallel, I didn't know that was something I could choose. I'd pick that over Topps Chrome personally. And that's actually the collector side of me. I know I'm probably going to take a bath on all of those probably, but it just seems right. It feels right to me. It feels like an original parallel, even though I think the gold was, 2001 and blacks were created when, Scott? 2006?
2002. No, 2002, 2003. I think it was 2003 because I think it was 50 years after the 1952 set.
Yeah. I love a good rookie black here. If you want to zoom in on me, I think we got the two MVPs here. God, I'm really bad at doing things in reverse, but I mean, I love these cards. 2018 was obviously the best design. 2019, a close second. I don't have any around me, I don't think. Wait, do I?
Can I just say to appreciate 2018 parallels were the best I think we've ever seen. Like with Independence Day and stuff.
But 2019s are, I mean, they're almost as good. Like,
yeah, that was before they completely fell off the rails. 2019 Independence Days too. Don't look quite as good as 18, but pretty good.
Yeah, then I feel like, I don't know, they must save a little bit of money on ink by just doing the borders, or maybe they save, I don't know, a couple seconds of time. But it's frustrating. I know we talked before about the downfall of the Independence Day parallel, but we don't have to rehash that.
I was excited for borders to come back because I like the early 2000s sets, but they've done a really bad job with the designs of the parallels, in my personal opinion. Like, Independence Day. Also, it was 2003, and they started it out as out of 52. So every year increases 1. And so that's where I got the 52 from. So for that. But yeah, so I have another question. We're going to move on a little bit. I think we've gone over this a ton, and good conversation. And Ty, I like your perspective, and I think a lot of collectors will like your perspective as well. And I agree with it as a collector. But my next question is, what player who's having a bad year, right, a percepted bad year, are you actually high on heading into next year? I have an example if you want me to go first, or if you don't want me to take the obvious answer, anyone else can go first. Your choice. Does anybody else have one off the top of their head?
I'm just going to rattle off 4 guys who I'm not high on that I think it's unfortunate, but I'm not, maybe it's not any surprise. Well, one, like, maybe we all take a moment of silence for any Jared Kelenic fans and speculators, and just, we were so excited. We felt like maybe this was the year he'd take a leap forward. He looked so good in spring training. He started out, what did he have, a home run his first game, I think, and that was just, nothing. Trey Turner's probably been the biggest surprise for me this year in terms of just, how bad he started out. I really thought going to Philly, he would just be like as motivated as ever, dialed in. He wasn't somebody I was high on in terms of like long-term value, just because I think he still has it's like too late. It's like, he has a long way to go, but he's so fun to watch. I really enjoyed watching him slapping the ball around the field, power for his size, speed, obviously. So that was, somebody that's probably been really disappointing, who I wouldn't be like super high on buying his cards. Xander Bogaerts probably underperformed, and, as did several of his teammates. And Jimenez from the Guardians, Andres Jimenez, he went from an MVP 6 last year, 7.4 WAR, down to 5.1, which is still respectable, but his numbers across the board are just, like, from a hitting perspective, really aren't. His average is down 40 points. He's
a below average OPS plus at 98.
Yeah, OPS is down to 0.713. Like, it's just, I did pick up one of his cards, actually, a Bowman Chrome auto, ironically, in the offseason, just because I thought he was kind of a sneaky multi-tool type player that might get some attention, a little bit of buzz, and he just didn't play well at all this year. So I'll answer sort of your question, but I don't know that I have anybody that comes to mind that I am super high on who didn't play well this year.
Does anybody want to guess, without looking? I already looked. Jared Kelenic's career WAR.
It's not. It can't be positive.
Okay.
He didn't play enough, so it's probably like minus 0.4.
It is at 0.0 WAR. He has been with 0. And even I remember people were commenting on my YouTube videos how I owe Kelenic an apology because I said he was not a great buy or something. And I want to just say he has been worth 0 WAR. I am worth 0 WAR.
I am worth 0 WAR.
You have the same value added to a major league team.
You are worth 0 WAR, sir.
Yes, I am. I am worth 0. But I do think Kelenic is going to be at least a league average big leaguer his whole career. I do believe that. But I don't think and he could have like a year next year, like, breaks out like Kyle Tucker a few years late. Kyle Tucker never had this. But he did, he was a little bit older when people started saying, oh, we should look at Kyle Tucker. It could happen, but
I think it will. He's still got time. Somebody with his pedigree doesn't usually absolutely flame out unless it's due to injuries. And he showed some promise, but then he got curveballs, and then he couldn't hit them anymore.
And then he broke his foot because he missed the curveball.
And he's a head case, which is a problem.
But he seems like a good guy. like at the interviews, he was like, I don't know if crying in baseball, it's not appropriate according to Tom Hanks, but he was crying about it, and you could tell he felt horrible. 23 years old, just broke your foot in your breakout season. But I do think Kelenich's going to have a good future, but not in sports cards. He missed the boat of investability. Okay, I'll go first. Player, I can give a very obvious answer. I'm actually going to pull up some stats and share them with you because that's what I do. But players who are actually having a good year this year, but people don't realize it, is Juan Soto. Juan Soto, I'm going to share my screen. He's not having a terrible year by any stretch of the imagination.
No,
I know
he's having a really good year.
Yeah, people bash him because of the fact he doesn't play defense, but like the MVP this year probably has pretty similar defensive metrics. Nope, not even close. Juan Soto's at least 3 times worse, according to Defensive War right here. Cuna's at negative 0.5. Soto's at negative 1.3. So Soto's a lot worse. But my point is, his ceiling, if he had league average defense, he would be, top 3 or 4 or 5 in WAR this year. 5.1 WAR, 150 hits, 33 home run. He's actually above, almost a 275, 105 RBI. His OBP is still ridiculous with a 157 OPS plus, which aligns with his career. What if I told you he's 24 years old? And who's the hot rookie this year? Rutschman. Rutschman's 24 years old. And Juan Soto's has 30 career WAR at the same age. It's just crazy how he went to the Padres. We slept on him, and that's where we're at. So my pick is Juan Soto, and that could be because I own Juan Soto cards, but I do think he has a bright future. Once he does leave, and I show this every time, but I'm going to show it every single time, go to career batting splits. If we scroll all the way down to ballparks, we can find it to the very bottom of batting splits. If we go to, where is it? We'll actually go by OPS. That'll make our life even easier. Scroll down. Out of all the parks where he has more than 50 games, by far the worst is San Diego, right? And so once he leaves San Diego to go to the Mets or the Yankees, because they're trying to cut payroll, it could happen this year, he'll be fine. If we even scroll up and go to home road splits this particular year, you can see right here. And for those not seeing, I'll try to describe it. At home, he's actually come back a ton. He was horrible earlier this year, but he has almost 1,000 OPS on the road with the 290 batting average. So my point is, I think he'll be fine. Oh, that's for his career. Let's go to 2023.
But so your question was, who's a player who's had a bad year who you're high on to bounce back? And then you said, here's Juan Soto, who's had a great year.
No, I'm putting finger quotes around it, right? I'm saying public perception of bad year. Yeah. And Juan Soto's that guy. Look at his OPS on the road this year. He's better than he's been for his career. It's just home. Kills him.
Finger quotes really don't play well on a podcast, but
I'm doing finger quotes right now. Bad year.
Yeah, I was hoping no one would talk about Soto. Soto is like one of my main off-season targets. I really want to get one big card of his. So I think he's terrible, and no one should buy him. All he does is walk and hit home runs and get RBIs. And
Trash bags.
Who wants guys that get on base all the time and are still really young? The fact he's 150 career home runs at 24, which seems crazy. And he doesn't really get hurt despite his body. I don't think he runs fast enough to really cause any injuries. So
no, I agree. His defensive upside's pretty low. But
casually trots. He has a 1.159 OPS in September.
That's insane. Yeah. And I will say, if he signs long-term with the Padres somehow, I take back everything I said. Because
if he just keeps doing what he's doing right now, I think that would be great.
I know, but pre Petco, his numbers are even crazier. And I think that upside is still there. It just needs to be unleashed in Citi Field.
No, it'll be Yankee Stadium. I think he's been eyeing Yankee Stadium since he was 21 years old. I think the Yankees are they're just waiting for him.
He's got some issues with his hitting coach. I think it's more than, I know the splits kind of show it's just a home road thing, but it just seems like all around kind of crappy situation. And it's tough to make excuses for that guy because before that it was lineup protection in Washington. All he needs is to go somewhere else and it'll be great. Oh, he's going up. Oh, look at that lineup. He's going to be awesome. And then if he moves to the Yankees eventually, it'll be, oh, well, all that pressure, that's why he's underperforming. He tends to get in his head a lot, right? A lot of these issues, if you look at his splits from month to month, in addition to home road, it's he's a guy that he's clearly at his best when he's taking the ball the opposite way, and he needs to find the right balance of patience and aggressiveness. And sometimes it's hard for him to find that. But going opposite way and breaking pitches and trusting his swing, that he can still pop it out to left center when he's doing that. So, and one of the things to look at, so this year is probably the first year in 3 years that Ronald Acuna is outselling Juan Soto. So these guys are like close in age. They're close in career WAR. Acuna might have an MVP edge on him, but like literally, I think Acuna is about 50% more expensive. I think first Bowman Chrome autograph PSA 10 for Acuna is like implied to be about $2,400, $2,500. With Soto at $1,600. So I do agree. If you're a long-term believer in Soto, and he's one guy at PC, could be a good time to buy. And he's got fewer rookie cards in comparison to Acuna, and fewer colors of Bowman Chrome autographs and stuff like that too.
Okay, here's my next player. I'm just gonna say a couple players that I think have had, again, they're not really bad years, but it's publicly perceived bad years, right? So a player of that same cloth is going to be Fernando Tatis Jr. He has a 118 OPS plus. He has 25 home runs, hitting 262, all career lows for a full season. Right? Maybe not home runs, but I mean like actual rate stats are all very low. But he still has a 5.4 WAR, which I'm assuming is going to be top 10 to 15 in baseball. And the reason for that, it was his biggest weakness, which is defense. He has moved to right field, and he actually leads all of Major League Baseball in, I believe, DRS. I can look that up and make sure, but I believe he leads all of baseball in defensive runs saved. He has become a defensive monster. He might even be the Platinum Glove winner this year. He's that good. Do you believe in Tatis long term with the injury history, with the steroid history, with all of that? What are your thoughts, Ty?
I will say that when the PED stuff came out, there were a lot of people who were like, that's a wrap. Sorry, Tatis investors, that's a wrap. I was not convinced that that was the case. It was so early and young in his career. And I'm not totally convinced that younger people care as much about that right now. I know we could have a whole conversation about Bonds and Clemens and all those guys, McGuire, Sosa, whatever. But I try to project out and say, okay, who are the people now who are young, who are going to be propping up the value of cards and players later in life? I did not hear any of the people who were 30 and under being like, oh, what a scumbag. I don't like this guy. How dare he? It almost seemed like general ambivalence. So that to me was like not a non-factor, but like very low. Like this, I just want to see how this guy comes back. He had all the endorsements, all the ads, Gatorade, and all the brands. It's like he's cocky, he's flashy, he's fun to watch. He's just got to deliver long term. Like his performance, I don't know. It's hard for me to doubt the talent from what I saw, a few years ago, and just go, wow, this guy looks like he could very much be the best player in baseball, at least offensively. And like you said, now with the improvements in the outfield, it's like I'd call it a coin flip in my mind, what he's going to do. But I'm kind of curious what everybody else thinks.
Well, Tatis is second in defensive run save this year with 26. Does anybody want to guess who number one is with 27? If you guess it, I will personally send you a Billy Butler card.
That's not bad.
Not a Met.
Is it a Royal?
You're not even in the right country.
What?
Oh, so it's a Canadian.
It's the it's like
a
Japanese league.
It's a Blue Jay.
Is it Kiermaier?
Matt Chapman.
Nope, not Matt Chapman.
Kiermaier?
Dalton Varsho, 27.
Teoscar Hernandez.
Because Dalton Varsho this year, he has not lived up to the offensive hype. He has an OPS plus of 84 with a defensive WAR of 2.6 for a total of 3.5 total WAR. So, but either way, Tatis is a top 2 defensive player in baseball, according to a couple different metrics.
But he's kind of he's a shell of himself offensively this year, though. Like his OPS plus dropped
100%. Break it down, Chris. Break it down before I.
Yeah, Chris, go.
I mean, his OPS plus dropped 40 points from before his motorcycle accident and skin cream or whatever we want to call it. What if 327 on base percentage? He's 25 home runs. I mean, I don't know. It's possible he just felt so much pressure this year. He's not comfortable having to come back, but if this is who he is, this is not who the Padres signed for whatever it was, 13 years. Like, I think a lot of his rate stats, like I was looking at like his hard hit, his barrel percentage, like that stuff is down. It's certainly correctable because he's still pretty young. I think he's only 20. What is he? Is he 24 as well? Or is he 23?
24, age 24 season. He might be a little bit older now.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's definitely time to turn it around, but he is not someone I will not. I have no plans to buy any of his cards this offseason. He's not someone I'm looking at. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't like the risk reward profile. To me, there's just more risk than return, given that there's a natural cap on his stuff. I mean, is he completely done? I don't know, but he's basically completely done, with the whole steroid thing. Like, in my mind, if it's not, if I'm incorrect, whatever, 50% of the hobby, 75% of the hobby isn't going to ever put serious money into his cards just from opportunity costs. Like, why would you take that risk with somebody who might not ever be able to get to a certain level back to where he was? But yeah, the offense, you look at ISO, which is a measure of slugging percentage minus average ISO year by year. In 2019, 272. In 2020, it was 295. In 2021, 328. Now it's down to 197. So whether it's a post-steroid thing, okay, maybe he only cheated when he was recovering. I don't know. But it could be long-term damage from his shoulder, from his wrist, which some experts have said that there could be long-term issues there with both of those things. So maybe that's sapping his power. Hard hit stats is what you're pointing out, Chris.
I want to just
your shoulder and wrist are pretty important.
His sprint speed still 94th percentile, arm strength's 99th percentile.
Yeah, good buttocks. Yeah, defense.
Great butt. Good thing Kalen doesn't watch baseball often. Fielding run value 97th percentile. But do you think? I want to just ask like a question here. Do you think that his decline in offense is due to the fact he's now not on steroids, or do you think it's due to just injury alone, or a third option? Because he was the poster boy, everybody loved him, and now everybody boos him every at bat outside of his home ballpark. What's your thoughts? Like, what's the main reason if you had to isolate one of them?
I don't know. Look, I mean, do you know how many players have an off season? Like many. Most players have an off season and off season.
Show you one right here.
That's why for me in my mind, I'm like, yeah, I actually agree with what Phil's saying as far as like the risk profile and but if Tatis came out and did what he did a few years ago and had a near 8 offensive WAR and a 2 defensive WAR and goes for 10 WAR on the season, nobody's going to be talking about PEDs. They're just not. Like, it's not the sexy profile of the player anymore. It's going to be Tatis with chains, flying around the base paths, doing what he did before. I just don't know. And that's good insight, I feel, into the injuries that I haven't followed that closely. I'm probably like Chris saying, I just haven't been thinking, let me go out and buy Tatis cards in the offseason because I don't know if he can get back to that offensive production. If he can't, that coupled with the PED thing is enough to just sort of make people like disregard. Like you said, it's opportunity cost, and I don't like it. But I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball to say like I think definitively he can't get back to that because, man, was he good. He was really, really good. And maybe it was the drugs, but I don't know.
Agreed. All right. Well, I think that's a great place to stop. I want to make one more point. Down seasons after great seasons. Bryce Harper, age 22, won MVP, one of the best seasons we've seen. Following year at an 814 OPS. So it can happen, and then they bounce back. So other than that, thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe if you made it this far. Obviously, if you made it this far, you like listening to us talk. So hit that subscribe button. Will eventually start uploading on Spotify if you prefer that medium as a source of our content. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you in the next week.